Hi, welcome back to another one of these, Sloppy Game Dev, where I'm trying to make a game using Claude, or using Claude to help me. My relationship with it is changing every time, and I'm figuring stuff out. And this is a live stream of it. In the meantime, since last time, I did do a little bit of work myself, looking through the code, and then kind of using Claude to clean up some stuff. I think it generates like quite a lot of code, and I have to really keep it in check to get what I want out of it. But I can show you where we're up to. So I've got some counters spewing out here because I was just doing some kind of profiling. And the game, if you haven't seen this before, there are other videos of it, is to make a crowd simulator game of a train station. You know, it could be like a puzzle game or like a building game, maybe like a cozy building game. But what we have so far is a tile map. The tile map's been changed. So last time I was putting down walls, and now instead you put down floor tiles. And the floor tiles have a directional arrow. These are little arrows, and this is like a vector field flow map for the AI simulation agents to follow. So it's like an optimization of how they can do pathfinding. Now walls are just calculated as the exterior, and I've made this massive scene, and I can place down lots of agents at the same time. So this is 1024 AI agents, not AI agents as in LLM agents, but that's what these are called, agents. They're AI. They are AI, I suppose, simple, primitive kind of pre-LLM AI, and basically they avoid each other and they avoid collisions, and they're all going to the same place, which is this yellow destination. But there's 1,000 in there, and we're running at 60 frames a second. I can drop another 1,000 in, and we're hitting 30 here, but it is a bit faster. I am streaming as well, so I've got a bit of extra overhead. But basically, it's running at 60. And now we're 3,000 agents. We're running at 30 frames a second. So basically, this is quite a lot of agents, and we could make a game based on this. And I've now started to get a little bit obsessed with, they're jittering, and there's lots of issues to solve. But these guys are colliding quite violently. I don't know if you'd be able to pick that up on screen, but they're there's these things to solve. But in general, they're kind of working. There's some bugs here. When they I've put them on the outside. When they get to the destination, they're all disappearing, and I think that's because their direction vector's going to become 0. So some bugs and stuff like that, but it's kind of coming along all right. Now, the thing about the 10,000 entities, the 1,000, 2,000 entities is fine. Going above that, the frame rate starts to drop. I would like to be able to handle 100,000 entities or more, because I was thinking like this, you could make games like this that's not just a train station. You could make like a stadium, because you could have a stadium and it's an event where people are going to, and the biggest stadiums in the UK anyway are like 100k. Wembley's 90,000. So 100,000 kind of magnitude of agents in the simulation would be a good one to aim for that reason, to kind of have a realistic size and scope. Now you could, with the smaller amount, it's perfectly, possible for just, small amounts of agents, and they're going to be super efficient, and, we could have some nice gameplay mechanics from a smaller amount. But I'm not going to bother with dwelling on the optimization today. But I think I'll write a blog about that, and I'm looking about the algorithm and the structure. So today on stream, I think I'll just fix up some bugs and add some more features. So at the moment, we have one destination. This is that yellow. This is supposed to be a train platform. They would go here and wait, and then a train would come, and then people would get off and people would get on. And they sort of, look at how they're kind of clumping. They're not spreading out. So there's a different kind of sort of things that we should think about here about the behaviors. Obviously, there's the bug where they disappear. So that's the first thing we should probably solve. We've got all of these printouts from timings. So I'm going to just disable those. And then, basically let's get Claude out and get Claude to do some stuff for us. So, Claude, we don't need that. So I'll remove the spewing out debug print. So, I think what we should think about is the destination, right? When people come to the destination, it's very easy to accidentally place something down. I know why that's happening actually. When people get to the destination, there should be a different state that they enter, and they're in waiting mode, so that they still spread out from one another, but they're not really. See, these guys are wandering. And a bit of wandering. Look, he's just rotating. So, a bit of wandering and stuff. You wouldn't stand perfectly still, but you also wouldn't disappear. And you do want them to spread out and kind of, distribute themselves along the platform. So that's one thing we need to fix. Then another thing I want to do today is I want to have multiple destinations. So I would like to be able to have 2 platforms, and then you have a scenario where you have AI agents that are going the opposite way, or simulation agents, I should call them. They're not really AI, but they are. This is a different world of AI. We're talking about game AI, and these are AI. They know how to get to the station or the platform. So that's what I wanted to try and resolve today. Improve the kind of waiting behavior. Let me put a reset in there. And agents, if we get more, let's do blocks of 16. They kind of, it's coming along pretty well. They feel a little bit clumpy. They feel a bit, very direct. You would expect maybe some would kind of wander over and around in these kind of directions. But I think, this amount of agents in the game would make for fun. Look at them all there, just disappearing. Right, so let's get Claude to do something, and we'll just go on plan mode with Claude. I didn't know what this is. Sorry. Do I have any? I'm just gonna get the comments up on YouTube just in case anyone does ask anything, but not really many people have been watching live recently. Hi. Let's stick that on live. Okay, that's where we're up to. No comments. No chat. Basically, I'm shouting into the void, but one day, when this works, when the game's successful, people will look back on this and they'll be like, wow, what a great way to spend your Sunday. So Claude got this kind of like min. The some of the controls feel a bit ropey actually, but let's say to Claude. So we need to. This is annoying me as well. I'm going to stop that for now, and let's just do a Claude plan, and then kick it off. So what we really need is multiple flow maps. And maybe I can show some of the code. This is a bit easier now because I can do that. So all of this so far is it's a structure of arrays. We have a map chunk, and then it has tiles. The tiles have flow, density, and pressure, which is supposed to be used for the simulation. We have agents which are put into the tiles in buckets, and then we have walls, which are the collision primitive. Shouldn't really be just walls. Don't like the formatting on this. But flow is the thing that is the arrows. So we want to have multiple flow maps, and that would be the same thing. The default value is points in a direction, which is interesting, but it's fine. Basically, we would have a vector of this, and there may be multiple flows active per map chunk. So what we can do is we can have, we'll just start with having 2 flow maps. And I think what we also need is a, well, I'll tell Claude, we need to have multiple flow maps per map chunk, as there might be, as the agents will have different goals. So I think that flow should be a vec of vec2f array. Right, so that's the flow should be a vector of this, like this. Does that work? I don't know. Not like that. However you do it, I can't remember. A vec of this. Oh, but it wouldn't be like that, would it? Be like, it would be vec of. Yeah, I don't know how you declare it actually. So we should have a vector of that, and then we need to have multiple destinations. So multiple destinations, maybe, and I think that it would be good to be able to select the destination of the agents when we spawn them in the debug way. So at the moment I've been just clicking to spawn a bunch of agents that can go through the map. When we spawn them, we should be able to choose what their goal is. So multiple destinations. When we place a tile, like that can be the goal. For now, we can use, say, platform and platform B. Or well, I suppose platform, we could use platform, and then we could also have an index. Let's think. So we have a tile type. It would be platform. And then we have another index, maybe. Or do we just have loads of platforms? This is a U8. So maybe another U8. So like we would have tile type and tile index. So that's like map chunk has tiles. Oh, that was why I was doing it in the wrong place, the vec. So flow would be, do you declare it like this? Yeah, that's valid. That's how you do it. Right, okay, so this is going to be a vec. We're going to have another thing, which is tile index, and that can be a U8. And I'll just put a little note for him there. Claude. Should be vec. Have an index we can use that is U8, and that's going to be in a separate structure of a separate array. So we have, for example, platform 1 and platform 2 up to platform 255 if we need it. And I've been to a lot of train stations or tube stations in the UK and in different countries as well, and I have never seen a platform 255. So I think 255 train platforms is enough, you know, there's enough there. Obviously we have different types of tiles, so like a barrier, we could have different types of barriers. So we could use this index to differentiate between, we have the basic type, like a barrier you have to go through, a platform you wait at, but then we can have another index to identify it in a different way. So I think that would work quite well. And then we need to do the Jigstra. I can't say it. Jigstra. It's the flood fill algorithm that does the map finding. So we need to modify Jigstra flood fill to make a map per make a flow map per goal. Let's say just the platforms are goals for now. Right, and then what we need to do when we spawn agents, we would be able to specify their goals. So that means the agent needs another component. How do we make agents again? Register, no, not register agents, update. Do we spawn agents? Here's the agents, and they have quite a lot of stuff. I'm thinking I'm probably refactoring this a bit, but yeah, basically, so they need another component that is goal, and to look up the correct flow map based on goal. So let's see what Claude says, and in the meantime I'm just going to remove those update agents. So let's just get rid of these, or let profile. I was just doing some hard coding. If profile. What's that complaining about? I think that's fine. So that can be just removing the print so then it's not spewing in the console, and at the moment I'm not really looking at it. Probably should look more detail in a profiler and that kind of thing, but I was just doing it kind of high level, granular profiling. And I like print profiling sometimes because you can sort of see it, you know, in real time, sort of reacting to whatever you're doing. Just quite easy and basic to get your head around. And finally, right. So that fixes that. Another thing I wanted to do was make different maps. So the map save path is just hard coded at the moment. And yeah, basically it would be good to be able to save out different ones and have have some different test cases. So like, for example, the one I've got now is big, so it's big enough to be able to have thousands of entities, but I'll probably make a different one that will be a little test case for this initial two-directional flow. So because you kind of want them to, you want to see the agents cross over each other. So in the meantime, while Claude's still going, let's see if we can find a way to add some settings from the editor. There is an editor state. The amount of const Claude uses is staggering, really. So we have editor state, which has stuff. So this is going to be save. What we need is really a save and a load. A save and a load where we can type in update tile editor. Yes. And just got some messages. Okay, and oh no. Oh, the footy had already kicked off. For fuck's sake. Oh no. So let's say we've got editor state, and then we're going to keep a value string, sort of save file path, string. So now we need to add that here. Claude's come back with its plan. So I'm just doing very basic, and map save path can be what we can basically initialize it as. So let's go back and let's maximize that. No. This one. So the map chunk has a single flow. Goal is to support multiple platforms. Okay. We didn't say platform index. It just shouldn't be platform index. It could just be index, because we could use it for other things. Like tiles that aren't platforms can still have an index, you know, and they get one because of how the structure of arrays works. So we had a platform agent, platform index, and agent goal. But they could be the same, I think, as well. Maybe it's fine in editor. Editor can have a separate one. So then we have, what is goal buff? I don't know what goal buff is. Set platform index helper. Seems excessive. Get flow takes a goal, which is fine, but this is the structure of this code needs to be looked at. Update flow field. I think that one looks okay. We loop per goal. This is annoying. Like, this is what I've been finding. Like, I feel like I need to refine this already. So, platform index can just be index or ID, since it will be useful on non-map tiles. Non-platform tiles as well. And we still allocate the memory. Right, so that's that. And then get flow. Flow dir is tile, right? For each tile, I32. And then we could get flow. Tiles are vec3. And we have to convert it to a chunk and then get the Morton. We should be, all the code there should have, we should be getting it by index, and the Morton encodings happened beforehand. So I think that's a performance thing. I've asked it to use Morton order to store the tiles closer in memory, but the encoding and decoding of the value in Morton is happening at the wrong times, and this is, I need to refactor this as well anyway. So that's the first one. I think that the Jigstra flood fill seemed okay. Update agents, get flow, I feel like was tile, get flow, tiles vec3, vec3 of I32. Yeah, so I think that basically it's annoying because this is a bit of an overlap. It's like this needs to be refactored. We shouldn't be we shouldn't be passing the tile vec3 there. We should just already have the index. So, but that's something that I think we could probably do another time. So it's sometimes decoupling when to refactor and when to just go with it. But the problem is if you just go with it, then you've immediately got stuff that needs refactoring, and you're not like resolving it on the fly. So I think let's just say that let's just try and get visual quality, and then I've been doing the refactoring, not on stream, but it's a bit tedious really in that sense, because it's not fun to watch, but also you've kind of already gone ahead and accepted a load of code that kind of isn't very good, or it needs work. But the urge is there very much to just accept the code and see if it works. Like you want to see if it works, and you're like, oh, it needs refactoring, but then you can give yourself quite a far way to go, So right, I'll get back to the tile. And the thing is like you think, oh, I'll add save file path. It's going to be possible to do that alongside Claude, but it's quite hard to multitask, I find. Update tile editor. Okay, so now we've got tile editor. There's like agent mode, enable mouse. So place and erase tiles. Editor mode is tile. So let's see its plan now. We're having to bump the version. Well, anyway, I'm just gonna YOLO accept this. And just see how it goes. This was another bug I noticed before. If I'm holding shift as well, you don't want to shift, alt, or control stops you being able to place things because they're camera like modifiers, so that's one thing to do. Saving and loading, so we can change that, and then I'm just trying to see where's the like agent, is it separate UI? Here we go. We have tile editor UI, and so I actually think that the control and S and the saving should go in there, because that's kind of makes a bit more sense. And actually, I'm just going to, all of the save and load, I'm not going to do Control S. I'm going to just have it so it's in the UI. So I suppose this is multitasking, parallelism. Should I put that on? The footy, miserable and depressing. So, is Claude finished now? Maybe not. So, do we have input text? Oh, I don't even have an input text in ImGUI, I don't think. Checkbox, input flow, input int. Damn. So we would have a save and a load button. Maybe Claude had finished. ImGUI, same line. So we got save and load, and then we would have an input text box. Let's build this then. And let's run it and see if we have what we have. Oh, we'll have no way to save the map. And it's not compiling. I don't know if it has finished. I'm not sure what state we've got into here. Can I say anything? Doesn't compile. So that wasn't very good. It made some changes and it hasn't fixed up the code. So save. I need to add an ImGUI input text to my API, which I haven't got. So it hadn't done it. It kind of got, Claude sort of stopped and got stuck. I was a bit confused of what state it was in. Ah, I see. Those ones are kind of Yeah, loads of stuff to clean up here, basically, that it's generating. Taking a while, though. Okay, back. I'll sort of start thinking about. Oh no, I want to ask Claude to do that for me because I can't really be bothered to generate the thing. So we have map save and we have map load. And we can pass in so the editor map save path, save file path. That's so that code's plugged in. Okay. But then also save function should take a file path as well. And then we use that instead of the hard-coded one. And then we just need a way to input a different one, right? Taking a while, come on. So now has it built it? Right, I think he's saying it's built. So let's build and run it, and then in the meantime I need to add an input text. So I want to save out different map files, and we need an ImGUI API to do that. And then while that's happening, we can run the client, which isn't going to have a map, I think, to start with, because the version has been invalidated. Oh no, it's still there. So here's the save and load I added. It'd be good to have on the same line. We could have a text box we can put the file name in. It's a bit makeshift, but it could work. And then, okay, so now we could add in here, we can add platform number 1. which bit weirdly, let's see, we can put it there. Okay, so platform 1, and I assume that's platform 0. Grid, yeah, 1 agent. So goal 0, that's goal 0. Goal 1, okay, cool, he's working, yeah. He is going to goal 1, which is handy. And now I hold shift to kind of pan around, and I'm not accidentally placing anything. So cool, we've got let's see, so let's do a small bunch of ones and spawn them here, and let's do a bunch of ones and set them here, and then they'll have to go past each other, or maybe they'll miss each other. So yeah, this is what I wanted to see, what happens. How does it, how do they handle this, kind of the different direction? I mean, they're lucky. Yeah, let's stick them there. So now they're like, yeah, I think they'll eventually get past each other. You know, it's sort of eventually they will, but what you really want is some kind of coherence behavior, it's called, where they would look at the direction that the other agents are going if they're colliding, or the avoidance aspect, and then if you're going in opposite directions, you could check that by just checking, are you going to a different, well, maybe not a different goal. You could check the facing direction, and if it's opposite and different, then they would avoid each other in a different way. You know, they would give each other wider berth. Okay, so the bug where they so I can save that, I think, as well. When I reset, it should still be there. Yes. Right, so we've got 2 platforms, and we can get agents going in opposite directions to one another, which is quite good. Did I say I needed this? Oh yeah, okay. ImGUI sys. Yep, let's do that. So ImGUI says then we can have different maps, but at the moment that's fine, the one we have. Let's see if we add loads of agents. 16. Yeah, they're kind of, you know, it's kind of working. Sort of slowly making their ways. Now there's going to be a bit of a deadlock here, right? But they, they are kind of pushing through each one another, There's issues where they can get pushed outside the collision, which is a little bit of tricky. So I think there needs to be a better constraint on the collision. So it's Claude. Oh, for God's sake. I should have actually said to do plan mode, but so imGUI input text should be available now. Oh, it's made one for me. It's already hooked it in, so there it is. Cool. So we got rat race 2 map.bin. That's the one here. So let's make a simple one. I wanted to make a simple one that this art could really do with a marquee. I was wondering about this, like, because this has kind of got a sort of roller coaster tycoon, vibe to it. And I wondered in that one how the floor or the tile placing worked. So what I wanted to build was something like this, where you could have either way where you go, and let's say platforms. Yeah, maybe that's a good idea. Basically, like a long. I was wondering about Rollercoaster Tycoon if you could marquee select when you were placing tiles, or you just did it one at a time like this. It's quite therapeutic, but also it's kind of annoying, to sort of. Right, so if we did something like this, and then that can be another. Yeah, let's go to here maybe. Yeah. platform. That's platform 0. And then this is going to be platform 1. Wall. No, not wall. Floor. Right. And I'm going to save this as 2 platforms. I just call it platforms. Okay, and then agents now. So 8 by 8 grid of agents going from platform. I can't remember which one was which. Oh, it's crashed. It's crashed. What was that? So can I see if I can load platforms.bin? Oh, load. No, that didn't work. Oh yeah, it did. So there. So that's kind of working. It's a bit janky, user interface wise. But that was platform 0, right? So platform 0, I'm going to put bunches in there. This is going to be goal 1, platform 1. And this is quite nice. They go around each side separately, but then they're going to collide with one another. And then they're going to go past each other. Well, that's kind of fun, right? That's how you would do it. They avoided each other, they spread out. I think that... Right, so let's fix this bug of getting stuck when getting to the destination. Okay. So when... So when agents reach the goal, some of them are disappearing. I think it's because the direction to goal might become 0, and then normalizing this sort of rotation or something. Something like that. So that's, but then also, in addition to that, when agents get to the goal, or the goal is busy, they should just sort of resort to go into a wait mode, maybe with a little ambient movement. But they wouldn't keep pushing. I don't know whether to do them separately. They would naturally form. So I would like this to be simple. So like a simple and elegant solution would be you could check if you're colliding with someone or someone is in, if another agent is in your, they have a kind of wider radius that they use for steering. If they're waiting at the goal, it could be like a chain reaction. So, you know, like a queue would form. Maybe we think of this in another way, like because there should be queues forming for the barriers, and you know they'll slow people down if you have to go through the barrier and you have to pay. So I think the elegant solution would be to track, you know, to set a flag that an entity has reached the goal, and you know if you have an agent within a sort of steering radius that is at the goal and waiting, you may decide to queue. This way, a queue would propagate that everyone in a cluster is waiting for the same destination. This way, we can relax the requirement, relax the sort of the agent's need to keep flowing. So yeah, basically, let's see, do we have some queuing? No. So these ones are the lucky ones that haven't disappeared, and they're like spinning around, and they're, you know, they're doing stuff. Oops. So like if you're another agent here and your blue radius touches them, then you're like, there, well, we're both at the goal. But then your blue radius here would be like, I'm waiting on him, and he knows he's at the goal, and he knows he's at the goal. And then someone comes along here, and if it goes all the way back to here, like you would have that chain of people, and you would be like, we're all waiting for the same goal. Now here, in the case of this, you've got a wider goal. But I think we could try and have a test. So this is like a little platforms test, you know. But we could also... How's that happened? Whoa. Weird. It was like the screen was frozen, and now it had messed up. Okay, clear. So, but I think that's what I think. This is what the crucial thing for Claude. It's like it needs that info because it doesn't come up with elegant solutions on its own. It just throws a load of code at it, and it'd be all kind of specific cases. So if we know we're at the goal, we can stop following our flow and we can just wait. So if you're at the platform, when the train comes, we would go, okay, we're going to get on the train. So we're going to wait there until that happens. And then the same, so once an agent gets there and it goes into that state, we can check our neighbor. Like in the neighbor checks we do for the collision avoidance, we can go, he's waiting for the same thing I am. I'm going to just stop here, and so on and so forth. I can make a simple... So yeah, basically we could make a simple map with a single tile. That is the goal. And agents should form a natural queue. So let's see, can Claude do that? The whole thing of the agents, the kind of the algorithm of how they're doing the avoidance, the pathfinding, and so on, is something I'll write up in detail, and it by no means is finished. I think it's kind of getting into a reasonable state where the structure of it works, because obviously, as you can see, you know, when we had that example here, oh no, it's loaded the other one. Oh damn. That's on reset platforms. So, you know, I was quite happy about how this one worked. What did we do before? Did we do 8 by 8? Let's try 16. So let's try some more. And I was very happy with how these are working. I mean, decent number of entities here. And they, you know, look at them. They're swerving in and out. I think there would be a coherence element where, you know, you would naturally form lanes that go one direction and the other. You wouldn't have chaos like this. But I suppose part of the game could be that. You know, the game would be like, you would have one-way systems that you could build. You could build barriers. You could make sure the destinations from one place to another were sufficiently, you know, kind of channeled around to avoid these deadlocks. So I suppose in some ways having kind of like dumb AI that's quite simple would maybe be quite nice, because then the game mechanics is trying to prevent those phenomena that happen. But yeah, if we can get the queuing system fix that. But multi-goal was what I wanted to do. I think on stream and talking about it and stuff, the refactoring of stuff, the code, it's not as easy sort of to do that simultaneously. But I think that's what I'm using. Kind of, I'm doing a session in midweek to kind of clean up the stuff I did on this stream, and I think that's been working quite well. Oh. Let's see, is Claude saying anything? Sorry, it had written that and I was just there watching my... okay. So yeah, it produces a NaN. That might be what caused the crash earlier. Natural queue. So we just guard against a normalize. I knew that was the case. Flow 3. Tile flow. I mean, I don't know actually. I think could we just go if tile flow is 0? We just don't, you know. Oh yeah, we set it to 0. Waiting component, nope. Nope. We want flags. So again, it's just that, you know, these things are kind of, I don't know, maybe people would do that first of all, but we want this data to be compact. So let's see what else we've got. So normalization seems fine. Seems fine. Weighting should not be a bool. Agents should have flags, which can be a bit mask. It's more efficient to store them, and we can have, you know, multiple states active packed into a U8. So, you know, 255 flags is, oh no, it's 8 flags, sorry. So we could have 8 states packed into a U8, which is, you know, that we might have to up it to U16 or U32 in future. So that's, yeah, I think that's fine. Guard that. Bool, weight buff. So yeah, this buffer stuff is like optimization that still needs to be tidied up. We're kind of duplicating the entity component system of Bevy in a more lightweight representation. Use the weight flag. P3 in a closure. So what I don't care, what is this closure? Neighbor waiting. GB. So if it's at the goal flow or any same goal neighbor was waiting last frame, yeah. If we're at goal or neighbor waiting, so then what did we say about behavior? I think that might be okay. Come on. I mean, I started trying to do my own code here, but I can't at the same time. It's just kind of like too much to think about. You know, I still need to be thinking about the problem and guiding what Claude's doing. I mean, I did tiny, pitiful amount of code myself. The main one is, I don't know, maybe I should do that on a stream, because I think like what it is this whole algorithm, which is quite a lot of code. There's passes like we register the agents in tiles, we check the occupied tiles, we have flat buffers, which this should all go away. We then check for separation of entities against each other and do collision and kind of avoidance of collision with walls. And then we apply forces and move the entities. And then we have a kind of a collision pass, correction pass at the end. And it's all kind of working, but I think there's quite a few subtle things in the implementation that we could make it a lot faster. And I think getting it to 10K, let's see how it looks now. I think getting to 10K entities is doable. So we have flags, which is a U8, and we have flags waiting. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to accept that. Yeah. But back to the kind of the whole flow of the collision of the entities, I think the simulation of just the entities and the agents in the simulation could be 10K's within reach, but 100K is quite a far way off. And I'm wondering if it might be worth just doing this on the GPU. doing it on GPU might be faster. You know, it's going to be faster but there's certain parts on parallel. You know, they're kind of a bit serial, so it's a little bit tricky in that regard. Platforms. So really what I need to do now, actually, oh, for God's sake, it keeps going back to that. I could change the default map to... Oh, it's failing to compile anyway, so I'll have to just wait for Claude to finish this one. That's the problem with the hot reloading. It's just it's just reloading code while it's being worked on. But yeah, I think the optimization aspect would be good to talk about, but it might be better to write a blog about it, and it might be better to kind of do the technical deep dive in that way. Because, yeah, streaming or recording a video, I feel like I have to sort of talk all the time, and sometimes, especially with this stuff, you know, there's a lot of code here, and, you know, I need to just look at it and go, what is it doing? You know, now I understand it all now because I have been through it a few times, but it's quite bloated, I think, and it's easy for Claude to just generate this, you know. So we get walls, and all of those get walls and get that. We shouldn't be looking up Morton, but that's a small optimization that we could do today, maybe. Clean build. Here's what was done. Let's see. We want platforms.bin. Is it done? So we fix the bug. We add the waiting flag, which should get propagated, and we should end up with naturally forming queues. Right, and then we go with agent, and we do the 16 by 16. What I really could do with is some sort of... Oh, that's crashed. I think let's... Oops. So I'll do half an hour more, then that's basically 2 hours. 2 hours is a long enough session for this. That's what I've been doing. So there's still a few more things I can get in if I can figure out what this crash is. I might have to run with debugger, but I'll just see if I run it again after a clean build. Sometimes if the client and the plugins become out of date or out of sync, can cause like just a weird crash. Yeah, so they didn't, and then these ones seem to be going to the wrong goal, or they are forming a queue. There's something weird, like, I think that they're in the wrong... Let's reset this. Oh, it's doing that again. Keeps going back to the old map. Platforms.bin. Load. Right? And we don't need to do the double direction. So 16 agents are going to go to platform 0. And I think there's a problem where if they go into, they're pushed into a goal. Yeah, it's happened. It's like, see, these are fine. There's a bug there. It's like if any of them go in a wrong goal, then they've formed a queue, basically, in the wrong destination. That's fine. Because it's kind of, I can see it's working, you know, they're queuing, or, you know, they're stuck. So these guys, okay, this is a little bit of a weird logic, because these guys stopped when they should have gone. So it's only if, like, the person is toward the goal, because I think what's happening, they were connected behind. So we need to refine this. But look, they've kind of, this is really good. Like, you know, look, they've made quite an orderly separation, you know, which is quite, you know, that's what I wanted, these natural cues. So, bugs that are happening. There's a few bugs. So, it's sort of starting to... I can see some good emerging behavior. So, but there are some issues. Agents that are connected there are some agents. It's hard to explain it to it. Agents that go into their into, like, so I've got two. I have two platforms. Platform 0 and platform 1. If I spawn agents near platform 1, it's in a corridor. So we have 0 and 1, right? If I spawn agents at A to travel to 0, they can push each other onto platform B. Platform 1. Platform 1 has no flow, and then the agents form a connected chain, and they stop and form a queue to the wrong goal. I think that explains that quite well. And then where there are some obstacles, some walls that make channels L and R. There are some walls that make channels L and R to kind of disperse the agents. when going to goal 0, well, when going to goal, a queue could form at one side and then wrap around the obstacle. Can I explain this? So let's say we've got Q, then we had empty, Q, and then, oh, this is perfect. I can explain it in ASCII for it. So we had QQ. So then if we just go A, right, where in the diagram, let's say these are all X. Oh, mate, why did they not use monospace fonts? Do they not? Oh no, maybe they do. No. Oh yeah, they are. No, they're not. Fuck yeah, that's annoying. Where in the diagram, the X agents, or even some of the back Q ones, should probably shift forward. So that's decent explanation there, I think. 1% of context. Should have really compacted that sooner. Okay, so I think looking at the direction to a neighbor versus floated might help, but we might also need a distance to goal to kind of we need to like distance to goal. Agents could also look ahead and see no collision. So I'm thinking that in this case here, you've got no collision ahead of you. So you're like, I want to go in this direction, and these guys behind me are telling me that I'm colliding. So you can kind of ignore them. And how would I do that? You know, you would just go and you would go forward. But if you have, say, an obstacle, which is there, then you want to go this way. Oh, yeah, so that you would have space, and you would have space. Yeah. Flow nearby help. If the person is not blocking you, you can move. And then so basically, because all of this is happening on a chain reaction, so if there's nothing blocking you ahead, you can move, and then the other person behind you can then move, and hopefully that would propagate through. But again, we just want simple rules to do this, because, you know, look at the code. There is quite a lot of code. It looks more complicated than it actually is, and some of this has been added for optimization. But yeah, let's see if we can get it to clear that up. I think I want a way to clear agents. So button is map new. Clear agents. We have clear agents. Does that get used? Clear all agents. Oh no. That's just the update. That's not actually the physical agent. That's ambiguous. Let's put that. To do ambiguous name. This is for per frame clear. So I need a way to despawn agents. And I'm going to have to ask, while my Claude there's doing that, I'm going to ask another Claude on chat. So I don't know if I've ever had to despawn an entity. Despawn entity. Okay, well, while I'm looking at that, let's have a look at Claude's plan. So wrong goal stopping. Goal is purely determined by flow 0, but all platform tiles return 0. So that's wrong. The neighbor. Critical files. Get flow. Is goal tile at goal? So we have to check that. Directional neighbor. In the neighbor waiting block, add a direction filter. That's the dot. Yep. Seems reasonable. Let's just YOLO that one. Yes, and auto accept. Right, and then update tile editor. So update tile editor UI agents. Yeah, so we need a mut commands in here. And we can make commands in Bevy. So if we've got clear on the grid, I can also do, it doesn't, you know, I would prefer that a bit narrower. So we've got this despawn recursive agents. That is the query. Entities with human agent. Oh no. How do we do that? So that's it, I think. So button clear. So we've got clear. We're going to do clear agents and clear map. Okay. Despawn recursive not found. Let's just see if we can do despawn. Don't know about despawn recursive. They don't have children, so it should be okay. Right. Taking a while. Done. Clear map, clear agents. They should be on the same line. And so let me do that. So on the same line, clear map, clear agents. Cargo check. Cargo check. That's annoying. That's one thing I want to do. When you hit Control S, it does a cargo check, and then that prevents the build happening. It's quite annoying. So let's just get some agents. Ah, the crash. Do we have to do this? No. Maybe it's just, there's an intermittent thing in there. I should be running with a debugger and that would catch it. But I can't be bothered. I just want to kind of plow on and get progress. Cargo bin client. Let's go. Right. And then agents. We get 16. Okay, it does it again. It always works if you clean. Clear agents. That's nice. Okay, cool. So that's that. Then platforms.bin. Actually, these guys are going to go there anyway, so we don't necessarily need to use that platforms map. Panning feels weird, like wrong. I'm not sure which direction it should go in. It moves in the same, opposite in the x-axis. And that kind of feels like you're dragging. So now they're forming a queue, but they would, I think they would fill it out a bit more. I think obviously they would queue like that, but they would fill out this way a little bit more. I think there needs to be, but the thing is the goal is just like that. So I think it's reasonably fixed. Clear agents. Okay, let's check it out on here. I think it's, it is working. We need a way to visualize the different flow map, actually, because at the moment it's just showing a one of them. So that's another thing. While I'm doing that, Claude can do that. A way to... I need a way to visualize the different flow maps. A drop down in the UI to select which one is active. I think that can just go away and do that. It's going to be fine. Oops. back on here. Right, okay, so then agents, let's paste down, 16 agents. And then when they were getting in that stuck issue, they're no longer stuck. Oh, damn, I did put them at the wrong goal. So 16 agents, 16 squared, then 16 squared. So the problem is that there is no, there should be flow direction there. But now it fixes that one bug. And then I think we should get some better queue forming here. Pretty happy with how this is looking, you know? Pretty happy. Not that happy with the code in terms of the algorithm, and performance is an issue. But I think that's going to be the hardest thing. Yeah, I think now it's like they're queuing and waiting and there's empty space. And I think you need to have, you probably don't have to do it every single agent, every single frame, but you need to have an element of them looking and going, there's a bit of space there. I could move, you know. So I think that's a kind of, a little additional logic. 512 agents, but I mean 512 agents there, right? It's running smoothly at 60. Viz flow, right? Okay, well, I told you to make it a drop down. Oh, it's still going. I wanted a... So there. How long has this been going for now? One hour 45. So I'll keep going for 2 hours. Sorry, I missed this. Someone in the chat. I don't know when they commented that though, because I didn't have the chat open all the time. So the links in the so okay. Do we get a drop down? Right, we've got 2. Okay, so this is now, let's have a look. Arrows pointing towards goal 0, which was there. And then we switch to goal 1, and then it's pointing in the opposite direction. Woohoo! Easy peasy. Right. Okay. So basically, yeah, that's cool. We've got multi-directional flow. Queues kind of forming naturally. Perfect. So the issue, one of the issues was, oops. Oh damn, I need undo. Which is like undoing is a pain. Okay. So yeah, that was what I was remembering then. Now that this panning feels all wrong. I think the y-axis should be different. So if you're the goal, then you don't. Your flow becomes 0 at your own goal. But this one, I can't use the pan correctly. I need to fix that. These should have flow that go there, because you can walk on the platform. You should be able to walk on the platform. That's completely fine. But we need flow on there. So let's get Claude to add that for platform tiles. They should get a flow dir for any of the flow that is not theirs, if it is a goal. So flow is not just on floors, basically. It should go on any walkable surface, like platform tiles flow dir for the goal they belong to should be 0. So that'll hopefully, that should be fairly easy to add. So the only change needed, best cost. Okay, cool. So now this is building. Is it built? So we have 0 here because that is the goal. But now look, yes, we have tiles. Why can't I go any? Is that that's the furthest it's letting me zoom? Something was wrong there. The controls a bit janky. I need to still sort them out a bit more. It's to do with the panning. Editor. So now they have arrows, but then when it is the destination, they don't have flow. And I think that's cool. So now on the platforms example, this is so fiddly and janky. Oh man, mouse cursor. Right, platforms. Now, if I add agents, 16 agents going from goal 1 to goal 2. Maybe we can call them different colors as well. Make them different colors. Ah, the crash. Let's have a look. I see. So maybe we can fix this, but didn't have debugger attached. Happens when spawning some agents sometimes. See if we can fix that. And then, yeah, what we need is some kind of agent checking, round robin sort of behavior to go. I'm going to go to another place on the platform that, and then I'm going to, I'm going to be a bit more efficient in the direction we travel. And maybe if I can get that in a messy way, then I think that'll prove decent progress. See if Claude can find this bug. Does OBS? Come on. Almost 2 hours, and I think 2 hours is a good time to leave it at. I would like to hopefully pick or fix this bug. Well, maybe we should just run it in the debugger. Let's run a debug build and see if I can get it to happen. Maybe Claude's better spent doing something else. Platforms. It was always platforms. Oh, for God's sake. Mouse cursor going slightly off screen. $16 agents. Didn't happen. Damn. It's like it only happens the first time. A bit annoying. Let's start. Forget about that. Stop it. So I'm wondering. Oh. It's running. Oh. That was a debug build. Was that? Oh, is that because the debugger was? That was the last one. Okay. So let's try and explain this to Claude. I wonder if we can add another flood fill. So agents will queue like this, because the flood fill flow just points straight. Right. When there is a queue, agents agents should look to fill out the vertical space in the diagram, because the platform, the goal is bigger, wider than a single tile. We need a little extra adjustment. Maybe we don't. So, oh yeah, but like something that can happen iteratively, like need a little extra adjustment. Instead of, let's add a, so Q A so in the case of down and then left to expand along the goal. In the case of A, it should, I don't want to add so something elegant that propagates. Should be possible. So agents would fill out space instead of clumping. Let's see what it says. So we've got the weird bug. I'm going to add a to-do about that. To-do. Keep an eye on the random intermittent crash when adding agents. So it's on plan mode. Quite a lot to clean up in the midweek session. I will do. Maybe I'll do that actually on a video, not a live stream, and I can kind of then I can read through it and I can talk through what's happening. But I'm getting a bit more comfortable with kind of a bit more engaging, interactive coding, that I'm able to like look at the code Claude generates and want to engage with it a bit more now. At the start, it was like quite difficult to get into the same headspace. I think maybe it'll happen on different projects. Like I understand what the algorithms are doing and what the problems are happening now. So I think I can kind of describe the problems and steer it better. So after you can okay, so it seems to, yeah, it's just suggesting a little lateral movement, basically. Look, very small bit of code. I like these kind of things. The algorithms now, it's like, you know, they're quite like these chunks of code, like look at your neighbors, avoid them, avoid the walls, avoid this, and that's kind of how I want it to be. So that's very much auto accept. Then we'll run it, we'll see if it works, and then I'm gonna call it a day. But I think this has been a good session, you know. Got the multi-directional goals. It's done. Is it running? We have a running client via the debugger. I need to... So it moves to the moves to less dense side based on perp of the thing if we're in a queue situation. And I think that could work. Let's get into platforms.bin, load it up. Agents, we'll do the old 16 by 16 agents. It didn't crash, so the crash is still mysterious. The pushing is good. They get these kind of clumping scenarios on there. I think also it might be interesting to look at this without the debug primitives. Just to see how the kind of natural like geometry would look. Yeah, look, they're kind of moving a bit. But now they seem to not be going to the goal though. So they did spread out, but So they've kind of pushed to the edge. Not happy with that, really. The lateral movement. I think now let's just clear the agents and let's do a single one. Goal 1. So we're going in this direction. I just want to check the... debug draw agents. I'm just going to copy those, comment those out for the time being. And now let's have a look at how they look just as the geometry. Ah, I think I need to, for God's sake. Tired of doing this. Agents, 16 by 16 agents going to goal 0. Okay, cool. Look at them there. Without the debug, there's less overlapping, and you know, you can sort of see that there's a bit more space between them, right? I think the radius they look ahead would be a bit bigger, but I need to tune that based on the 3x3 neighborhood. There's a lot of performance considerations, but okay, so they form 2 queues. And then, yeah, they kind of probably spread out a bit too much. But I don't know, I think that naturally I don't know, they're forming a queue, they're waiting, they're not too crowded, you know, that will be busy. So they probably should get there a bit more densely waiting. But I think, you know, now I'm going to call it a day. So that was it. Sloppy Game Dev number 6. We made it. It's, I think, decent progress come along there. I need to have this time to go back through the code and tidy up what's there. So refining that separation, or the kind of the lateral movement for the queuing. The queuing kind of works well, but it needs a bit of tuning. But the overall algorithm for all of the agent-based avoidance and collision needs more changes for optimization. But I think that was a pretty decent session and quite fun as well. So see you later, and hope you have a good one. Bye.